Tottenham are signing Eberechi Eze. At least that is the consensus among the Tottenham fan base, amongst a lot of journalists on social media. But it does feel like we are hearing the same update every 2 or 3 hours, and the deal is taking longer and longer to get over the line. So unquestionably, there's beginning to be a little bit of doubt about whether Eze is actually going to come to Spurs, and it's a very, very similar situation with Savinho as well. In that deal, everything seems to be stalling. We are now a good few days into the new Premier League season, so I kind of wanted to hop on here and give you guys the latest information and update on both of those deals, as well as a bit of interest in Bayer Leverkusen's Hincapié as a potential defensive recruitment, just because there's a lot of rumours flying around, there's a lot of information that's being regurgitated over and over again, so I thought, why not summarise in one video for people so we all know where we stand heading into the game against Manchester City away at the Etihad, which I'm hoping that the deal for Eze at the very least is wrapped up by, because otherwise we may well struggle, and at that point it's starting to become a little bit of a concern as to why this deal is not getting over the line. So, I mean, you guys will have seen Eze's performance against Chelsea at the weekend. He played really, really well. He was very unlucky to have a goal ruled out against them. That free kick that was sort of blown up because Mark Guehi was in 1 metre of the Chelsea wall, which apparently has been a rule since 2019, but is just ridiculous nonetheless. However, he played really, really well. He was substituted in the 83rd minute, gave a very nice round of applause to the Palace fans as he walked off. And then after the game, he came back out and sort of had a moment by himself with the Palace away support, sort of touching the badge, clapping, waving, all of that sort of stuff. And I think it very much felt like a goodbye from Eberechi Eze. Now, there's a lot of conflicting reports out there. Some saying that Glasner and Palace want to keep Eze until after their Conference League qualifier on Thursday before sanctioning it. There's also a lot of other rumours saying that Palace will not let Eze leave until they've signed a replacement. And there's further reports saying that Spurs haven't actually agreed a payment structure for Eze yet. And to be honest with you, from my understanding, all three of them are true. Obviously, Palace would love to have their star midfielder available for them for the Conference League game, because, if he can help them get through that qualifier and into the Conference League proper in the league phase, then that's only going to be a benefit to Palace. So you can understand from that perspective why they want to keep him. Obviously, there's that risk that he does get injured or pick something up, and it could impact the deal with Spurs. So I do see why Spurs are pushing very, very hard to try and get this deal finalised, which Daniel Levy is doing. He had a meeting with Palace chairman Steve Parish on Monday, which I think there was a little bit of progress, but not finalised in terms of how we're going to pay for this Eze deal. Also, they do want a replacement, and if you guys haven't seen, there have been multiple reports coming out saying that Palace have approached Bilal El-Khanous from Leicester City. He seems to be the one that they want to target. There's a guy from Club Brugge who they've approached as well. I can't actually pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try to, but apparently they've been told he's not for sale. So it does look like El-Khanous is being lined up to replace Eze at Crystal Palace. Leicester reportedly wanting around 25 million for him. So, it's going to be less than half of what we're going to pay for Crystal Palace, but it does all depend on this payment structure. Palace obviously want a big chunk of money up front so that they can sign a replacement. Glasner is very, very important to them as a manager. He's in the final year of his contract. He hasn't signed an extension yet. He's been very, very vocal about how the club have gone about their transfer business this summer. And that's a key issue. Steve Parish is being very, very careful. And this is kind of why he doesn't want to say yes to the Eze deal until they've 100% got a replacement coming through the door. Another interesting point and piece of information that I found out very, very recently is it looks like Palace are in talks to bring Wolves sporting director Matt Hobbs to the club. And from my understanding, he wants to bring Hwang Hee-chan from Wolves to Crystal Palace with him. And he, sort of the understanding there is that he'll be coming into the role and Eze will not be a Crystal Palace player. So, I mean, we can make of that information as you will, but all signs point to the fact that Eberechi Eze will be a Tottenham player by the end of the transfer window. What we don't have yet is just an actual timeline. Something could break today. Something might not break until Thursday night or Friday. Spurs want him for the Manchester City game. I think that much is very, very clear and completely understandable when you're playing against one of the best teams in the country. You want to have him in through the door and ideally have a couple of days of training before putting him out on the pitch. And obviously he would be a very big asset to have against a team like Manchester City, particularly probably how we're going to set up on the counter-attack. I think that's a role that he would thrive in. So that's kind of where we're at with Eberechi Eze. It does look likely we're going to sign him. Palace do want to line up a replacement firsthand, and there is just a little bit of negotiations left in terms of how we are going to deliver the payment structure to Palace before Steve Parish gives that 100%. So as far as we're all aware, as it stands of Tuesday morning when I'm recording this, it does look like Eberechi Eze is going to be a Tottenham player. So don't stress about it for now unless something drastically changes. That is the whole situation. I do want to mention Savinho as well, because that deal's looking a lot more complicated as it stands. So the latest with Savinho deal is that Spurs are willing to put in a club record bid for Savinho to lure him away from Manchester City. The player is very, very keen to join. He was left out of the squad against Wolves at the weekend. He's been training on his own. Pep Guardiola has said that he's injured. Not entirely sure how true that is. But the latest information on the Savinho deal is that while Spurs are willing to fork out around 60, 65, possibly even 70 million pounds for the Brazilian winger, someone very high up is blocking the deal as it stands. That is the latest information from Fabrizio Romano, who said that again on Tuesday morning, is that City are kind of half closing the door to Savinho leaving, and it's going to take a very hefty bit of money to lure him away. An offer that is too good to refuse for Manchester City. And I do think Pep Guardiola wants to keep him, but a lot of reports came out last night saying that Pep Guardiola is the one who shut the door on Savinho departure. The issue with that is Pep Guardiola notoriously has never ever blocked a player from wanting to leave a club if they want to do so. It was the case for Julian Alvarez a couple of years ago, and I believe it would be the case for Savinho now. I believe that Savinho has said he wants to join Spurs. He wants minutes and game time ahead of the World Cup for Brazil next summer, and with that, Pep Guardiola probably would give his blessing, but it does seem like someone in the City hierarchy is currently blocking that deal. It's very confusing to me, because I think if you've got £65 million on the table for someone who scored one Premier League goal last season, I'd be snapping your hand off. I've spoken to a lot of Manchester City fans who have said the exact same thing. And if Spurs don't get the Savinho deal over the line, we definitely need to be sounding out other targets already. It may just be a case of waiting until after we've played City, who we play Saturday at lunchtime, to get a deal over the line there, because they maybe don't want to sanction and move him to then play against him at the Etihad at the weekend. So there's also that to consider, but the Savinho deal is certainly looking a lot more complicated right now than the Eberechi Eze deal. I think the priority this week is going to be getting the Eze deal done, and then maybe the Savinho stuff rolls into next week. We will put in a third bid. We've had 2 bids knocked back already. The third one will go in. It will be a club record bid, and then it's down to Manchester City whether they accept it or not. That is the latest with Savinho, but I'm hoping that we can get these over the line, because I just feel like they would elevate this Tottenham squad tremendously. That attacking midfield void left by James Maddison through his injury, and then Brennan Johnson left wing against Burnley didn't really convince me. So if you add Savinho and Eze in there, I genuinely think Tottenham have a squad capable of challenging for those Champions League places this season. There has also been a lot of talk with Hincapi from Bayer Leverkusen, who reportedly has around a £50 million release clause. Leverkusen have said they don't want to sell him. However, if the release clause is in his contract, there is every chance that he could still leave. That's the whole reason why a release clause is inserted into a contract. So it's one to keep an eye on, but I don't think the defender is going to be a priority in the market until the Savinho and Eze deals have come to sort of a conclusion. But it was worth mentioning because Spurs are targeting someone who can play left back and left centre back by the end of the transfer window, which shuts on the 1st of September. So we've got just over 2 weeks left to get these deals done. It may seem a bit frustrating from a fan perspective, from a Tottenham perspective. We're sitting here thinking, well, why is this not getting done? Steve Parish and Daniel Levy are notoriously the 2 toughest negotiators in the Premier League, so it's never going to be a quick and easy deal, unfortunately. I do feel like that one does still get done based on the latest information. Savinho, I'm not so confident on. But I still don't quite understand, if we put in that club record bid, how it could possibly be rejected, because City are making a lot of money on him as well. And then hopefully we target that defender as well. Cuti Romero obviously signed his new contract. Jed Spencer's signed a contract extension as well. So if we get all of this done, it's one of the best windows we've had in a long time, but it's a big if as it stands. I'm holding out hope. I do think at least the Eze deal gets done, hopefully very, very soon. But we all know Tottenham, and there is no guarantee there. So that is the latest transfer update for the club heading into the second week of the season, and as we approach that transfer deadline on the 1st of September, as I said. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see more updates over the next days and weeks, let me know down in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel as well. I massively appreciate it. But for now, let's get ready for City. Enjoy the rest of your week, and as always, come on you Spurs.